Welcome to Celestial Zodiac. In this video we're exploring Chiron by house and how it reveals the specific areas of life where your core wound is most active. While your Chiron sign describes the emotional style of the wound, the house placement shows where it plays out in real life. This is the life area where sensitivity tends to show up the most, where you may feel vulnerable, insecure, or more affected than expected by certain experiences. For some, this may show up in relationships, for others in career, communication, family, or personal identity. The house reveals where these themes are activated and where you may notice repeating emotional patterns over time. This is also where healing work often unfolds, not because it's easy, but because it continues to come up in ways that are difficult to ignore. You may find that certain situations, dynamics, or types of people consistently bring you back to the same emotional space, even if the circumstances look different on the surface. This repetition is not random. Chiron tends to highlight areas where something deeper is asking to be understood, processed, and integrated. Over time, as you become more aware of these patterns, the same life area that once felt like a source of pain can become a place of growth, strength, and deeper self-awareness. Healing through Chiron is not about eliminating the wound completely, but about changing your relationship to it so that it no longer controls your reactions in the same way. Let's break down how Chiron affects each of the 12 houses so you can see how this energy shows up more specifically in your own chart. Chiron in the first house, the house of identity, self-image, and how you present yourself to the world, often points to a wound connected to how you see yourself and how you believe others see you. This placement can create a deep sensitivity around being seen, accepted, or feeling comfortable in your own skin. You may struggle with confidence, self-definition, or feeling like you truly belong as yourself without needing to adjust or defend who you are. Early experiences may have shaped your sense of identity in a way that leads to self-doubt or a heightened awareness of how you come across to others. This can show up as hesitation, overcompensation, or constantly questioning whether you are presenting yourself the right way. Because the first house is so visible, this wound often feels immediate and personal. Healing unfolds through developing a stronger, more authentic sense of self that is not dependent on external validation. Over time, you begin to trust your instincts, express yourself more naturally, and recognize that your identity does not need to be perfected to be valid. As this placement heals, it often brings a quiet confidence and self-awareness that helps others feel more comfortable being themselves. Chiron in the second house, the house of self-worth, values, money, and personal resources, often carries a wound around feeling valuable, secure, and stable. This placement can create sensitivity around finances, possessions, or the deeper belief about whether you are truly worthy of having what you need. You may experience fluctuations in confidence tied to what you have or what you produce, or feel uncertain about your ability to create lasting stability in your life. There can be a tendency to measure your value through external results, or to feel like you have to prove your worth through effort, productivity, or material success. Emotionally, this may show up as fear of loss, over-attachment to what feels secure, or difficulty receiving without guilt or doubt. The second house is about building something tangible, so this wound often repeats through financial or self-worth challenges that push you to redefine what value really means. Healing comes through developing a more internal sense of worth that is not dependent on external validation. Over time, you learn to trust your ability to provide for yourself, create stability, and recognize that your value exists beyond what you own or achieve. This placement can eventually bring a grounded, steady presence that helps others feel secure and supported. Chiron in the third house, the house of communication, learning, thinking patterns, and everyday interactions, often points to a wound around expression, being understood and feeling mentally confident. This placement can create sensitivity around speaking, writing, sharing ideas, or trusting your ability to communicate clearly. You may have experienced situations where your voice was dismissed, misunderstood, criticized, or not fully heard, leading to hesitation or self-doubt in how you express yourself. There can be a tendency to overthink, second-guess your words, or hold back out of fear of saying the wrong thing. In some cases, you may try to compensate by over-explaining or constantly seeking clarity, while in others, you may withdraw and keep your thoughts to yourself. Because the third house is tied to daily communication, this wound can show up in frequent, smaller interactions that reinforce the pattern over time. Healing unfolds through gradually trusting your voice and allowing yourself to communicate without needing perfection. Over time, you learn that your thoughts and perspective have value, even if they are not always perfectly received. As this placement heals, it often leads to stronger communication skills, deeper empathy in conversations, and the ability to help others feel heard and understood. Chiron in the fourth house, the house of home, family, emotional foundations, and inner security, often points to a wound connected to your sense of belonging and emotional safety. This placement can create deep sensitivity around family dynamics, childhood experiences, or the feeling of having a stable and supportive foundation. You may carry emotional patterns rooted in early life that continue to influence how safe or secure you feel, even in adulthood. There can be a sense of not fully belonging, feeling misunderstood within the family, or having to grow up in an environment where emotional needs were not consistently met. This may lead to difficulty trusting others, creating a safe home environment, or feeling grounded within yourself. Because the fourth house is deeply internal, this wound can be subtle but powerful, often shaping your emotional responses without you fully realizing it. Healing unfolds through creating your own sense of emotional security rather than relying solely on external circumstances. Over time, you learn to nurture yourself, establish boundaries, and redefine what home truly means. As this placement heals, it often leads to deep emotional wisdom and the ability to create safe, supportive spaces for others. Chiron in the fifth house, the house of creativity, self-expression, joy, romance, and personal fulfillment, often carries a wound around being seen, expressing yourself freely and feeling worthy of joy and recognition. This placement can create sensitivity around creativity, performance, attention, or the ability to fully enjoy life without fear of judgment. You may hesitate to share your talents, hold back your creative expression, or feel self-conscious when you are the center of attention. There can also be wounds connected to love, dating, or feeling chosen and appreciated for who you truly are. In some cases, you may fear rejection so strongly that you avoid putting yourself out there, while in others, you may seek validation to fill that gap. The fifth house is about authentic self-expression, so this wound often repeats through situations where you are asked to show yourself more openly. Healing comes through allowing yourself to create, express, and experience joy without needing approval or perfection. Over time, you learn that your creativity and individuality have value simply because they are yours. As this placement heals, it often brings a natural ability to inspire others, encouraging them to embrace their own creativity and confidence. Chiron in the sixth house, the house of work, daily routines, health, service, and self-improvement, often points to a wound around feeling useful, capable, and good enough in everyday life. This placement can create sensitivity around productivity, performance, responsibility, or maintaining order and control in your environment. You may feel pressure to constantly improve yourself, fix problems, or meet high standards, often becoming overly critical of your own efforts. There can also be a connection to physical or mental health, where stress, anxiety, or perfectionism impacts your well-being. You may struggle with feeling like your efforts are never quite enough, or that you have to earn your worth through work, service, or being helpful to others. The sixth house is tied to repetition and routine, so this wound often shows up in daily habits, work environments, or patterns of self-criticism that reinforce themselves over time. Healing unfolds through developing a more balanced and compassionate approach to yourself and your responsibilities. Over time, you learn that you do not have to be perfect to be valuable, and that rest, care, and imperfection are part of being human. As this placement heals, it often leads to strong problem-solving skills, practical wisdom, and the ability to help others in grounded, meaningful ways without losing yourself in the process. Chiron in the seventh house, the house of relationships, partnerships, and one-on-one connections, often points to a wound around trust, balance, and feeling valued within relationships. This placement can create sensitivity around being chosen, being understood, or feeling secure with another person. You may experience patterns where relationships bring up deep insecurities, whether through rejection, imbalance, dependency, or difficulty maintaining healthy boundaries. There can be a tendency to lose yourself in relationships, fear being alone, or attract dynamics that reflect unresolved emotional patterns. Because the seventh house is about how we relate to others, this wound often becomes most visible through partnerships, where your expectations, fears, and needs are mirrored back to you. You may find that similar relationship themes repeat over time, even if the people involved are different. Healing unfolds through developing a stronger sense of self within relationships and learning how to create balance without abandoning your own needs. Over time, you begin to form healthier connections based on mutual respect and understanding. As this placement heals, it often leads to deep insight into relationships and the ability to help others navigate partnership dynamics with greater awareness. Chiron in the eighth house, the house of intimacy, shared resources, vulnerability, transformation, and emotional depth, often carries a wound connected to trust, control, and emotional exposure. This placement can create sensitivity around letting others get close, sharing deeply personal parts of yourself, or navigating situations involving power, loss, or emotional intensity. You may have experienced situations where vulnerability felt unsafe, leading to guardedness, fear of betrayal, or difficulty trusting others fully. There can also be challenges related to shared finances, dependency, or emotional entanglements that feel overwhelming or difficult to manage. Because the eighth house deals with deep transformation, this wound often brings intense emotional experiences that push you to confront what lies beneath the surface. Pain may be expressed through control, withdrawal, emotional defensiveness, or difficulty letting go. Healing unfolds through learning to trust gradually, process deep emotions, and release the need to protect yourself through constant control. Over time, you begin to see vulnerability as a source of strength rather than weakness. As this placement heals, it often leads to profound emotional resilience and the ability to support others through transformation, crisis, and deep personal change. Chiron in the ninth house, the house of beliefs, higher learning, philosophy, truth, and personal growth, often points to a wound around meaning, direction, and the search for truth. This placement can create sensitivity around belief systems, education, spirituality, or feeling confident in what you believe about life. You may have experienced disillusionment, rigid teachings, or situations where your beliefs were challenged, dismissed, or did not hold up in real life. There can be a sense of searching for answers but struggling to fully trust any one path, or feeling uncertain about what is true for you. Emotionally, this may show up as restlessness, doubt, questioning, or difficulty committing to a belief system. Because the ninth house is about expansion and understanding, this wound often repeats through experiences that challenge your perspective and push you to rethink what you believe. Healing unfolds through developing a more personal, lived understanding of truth rather than relying solely on external systems or doctrines. Over time, you learn to trust your own perspective and allow your beliefs to evolve naturally. As this placement heals, it often leads to wisdom, open-mindedness, and the ability to guide others in finding meaning in their own way. Chiron in the 10th house, the house of career, public image, reputation, and long-term achievement, often points to a wound around success, recognition, authority, and being seen in a position of responsibility. This placement can create sensitivity around how you are perceived publicly, whether you feel respected, and whether your efforts are acknowledged or valued. You may struggle with pressure to succeed, fear of failure, or feeling like you are not living up to expectations, either your own or those placed on you by others. There can also be challenges with authority figures or feeling unsure about stepping into leadership roles. Because the 10th house is highly visible, this wound may show up through career setbacks, public criticism, or a deep internal fear of being judged. You may either avoid the spotlight or overwork in an attempt to prove your worth. Healing unfolds through redefining success on your own terms and separating your self-worth from external validation. Over time, you begin to step into your role with greater confidence and authenticity. As this placement heals, it often leads to wise, grounded leadership and the ability to guide others through their own career and life direction challenges. Chiron in the 11th house, the house of friendships, groups, community, and long-term goals, often carries a wound around belonging, acceptance, and feeling connected to others. This placement can create sensitivity around social dynamics, friendships, or feeling like you truly fit in within a group. You may have experienced rejection, exclusion, or feeling like an outsider, even when surrounded by others. There can be a sense of being different or misunderstood, which may lead to hesitation in forming close friendships or fully engaging in group settings. You may either withdraw from social environments or try to adapt yourself in order to be accepted. Because the 11th house relates to collective experiences, this wound often repeats through group dynamics or shifting friendships over time. Healing unfolds through embracing your individuality rather than trying to conform to fit in. Over time, you learn to find or create communities where you are accepted for who you are. As this placement heals, it often leads to strong connections, meaningful friendships, and the ability to help others feel included and supported. Chiron in the 12th house, the house of the subconscious, hidden patterns, spirituality, isolation, and inner healing, often points to a wound that is less visible but deeply felt on an internal level. This placement can create sensitivity around emotional boundaries, unconscious fears, or feelings that are difficult to fully understand or express. You may experience a sense of carrying something beneath the surface, whether it's unresolved emotional pain, a tendency to withdraw, or feeling overwhelmed by things you can't easily explain. There can be a strong connection to solitude, introspection, or spiritual seeking, but also a tendency to escape, avoid, or suppress what feels too difficult to face directly. Because the 12th house operates beneath conscious awareness, this wound may show up through patterns of self-sabotage, emotional overwhelm, or difficulty staying grounded. Healing unfolds through developing greater self-awareness, compassion, and the ability to gently face what has been hidden. Over time, you learn to work with your inner world rather than avoid it. As this placement heals, it often leads to deep intuition, spiritual insight, and the ability to support others through unseen or emotional struggles. Chiron by house shows us where these patterns live in your life, but it's not about staying stuck in them. It's about recognizing them so you can start working with them more consciously. The same areas that feel the most sensitive are often the ones that lead to the deepest growth over time. As you become more aware of how these themes show up for you, you begin to respond differently, and that's where real healing starts to take place. If you're following this Chiron series, make sure to check out the other videos where we break down Chiron by sign and how it interacts with the rest of your chart. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share if you found this video about Chiron helpful.